Hello and welcome to KennyRoy.com. I'm Kenny Roy. This is the Ask Video Mail for the week of April 14th, 2014. Welcome to the site to you new members. Welcome back to the old. The Ask Video Mail is your chance to get your question in character animation or performance answered in a video just like this one. But I need your question if I'm going to answer it, so please send your questions to webmaster@kennyroy.com. I go through all the questions and I answer the ones that will help the most people. There's no such thing as a stupid question, and it is the best way to get the most out of the site. I say that because... excuse me, frog in my throat. Water is life. I say that because the best way to learn is to have to format your question into a concise single thought. But it also is the best way to get the most out of the site because you get 2 days free. Boom, add to your subscription every single Ask Video Mail question that you send in. Question. I don't know why I'm sounding so weird today. Should I button another button? No, that's too many, and this is not enough. What's going on? All right, somewhere in the middle there. I'm feeling excited. I don't know why. No one has sent in any video mail questions since the March Madness competition ended. I think people are a little intimidated by the idea of someone sending in 56 questions in 1 month. But you still get those bonuses, and I love giving them out. Obviously, otherwise I wouldn't encourage you to send in those Ask Video Mail questions. So it's a great way to participate. It is the best way to get the most out of the site. And you should do it just for your own workflow. I'm sorry, I do have I have a frog in my throat today. I have one announcement that I'd like to make. If you go to anomalia.eu, Anomalia, Anomalia.eu, you will be taken to a page that has all the information you need to check out the awesome animation workshop that is hosted in the Czech Republic every single year by the hardworking and really impressive David Taušek. He is a Czech animator and all-around great guy, and he brings together some fantastic animators to do some training. It's professional level training though. You do need to have a demo reel to submit to take the course, but I do think that if you work really hard and you send in your reel, you will probably be chosen. I've got a good feeling about you. Especially to my course, the Creatures course, which is taking place September 8th to the 19th this September 2014, and we're going to have 2 weeks of intensive creature animation focus and workshop. And I announced today, David let me know that a zoo in the Czech Republic, and they've got some pretty serious animals. They've got like a rhinoceros and some lions and zebras and seals, and they got some pretty cool animals there. Has invited the animators in the course to visit them. And we will be going inside the zoo and working with the zookeepers, getting close to the animals and observing them. So that's a pretty cool thing. I've never been up close and personal. I've never been, behind the cage in a zoo. I'm a little nervous, but I'm very excited. You should get excited too. Anyway, check out anomalia.eu for that stuff. This is the Ask Video Mail, though. We need to get to the question. Check it out. Well, Wojtek? He keeps on writing his name Wojtek in the Anim Gym webcast, and I think it's just a really easy pronunciation guide for a stupid American who has no idea how to pronounce that string of syllables. Anyway, Wojtek. It is a good idea. I've always thought that the pendulum is swinging, and it's going to swing from the left to the right and then back again. There's no other way for a pendulum to go, right? It goes one way and then the other. So when I first started out, there was a program at ILM, and I was there during the same time. I wasn't part of this program, but they would invite the basically the top graduates from CalArts. And if you could, quote, learn the computer. Can you imagine that these days? Learn the computer? God, incredible, right? If you could learn the computer, you basically had a job at the end of 6 weeks. So it's like the pendulum has swung so far the other way, hasn't it? I mean, these days you have to know Maya like inside and out just to start. I do think that the pendulum is swinging back, and that these days it's actually really good, and you can set yourself apart in a good way by having some pencil skills. Penciling, being able to draw the character that you are working with quickly and accurately in thumbnails, in expressive, dynamic thumbnails, a really, really, really positive thing. How can it hurt, right? A picture says 1,000 words. If your thumbnails are doing all the talking for you, then you are visually communicating in a great way. You're doing a lot to actually reduce the amount of communication errors that can happen between yourself and your supervisor. But the question kind of puts a finer point on 2D skills in terms of like how it's going to help with your work. And I kind of wanted to point out that animating with tempo is sort of the 3D equivalent of doing a pencil test, because if you don't actually use the if you don't actually use like a pencil and paper to create your pencil test, you've up until this point kind of like been losing out on a really interesting kind of timing tool. I like it because it's directly in Maya when you're animating with tempo. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, go into the archive, the lecture archive, and look for animating with tempo. You'll see what I mean. But let's check something out here. So I'm in Maya right now, and we have the brand new grease pencil tool in Maya 2014, right? So let's say you wanted to do like a... I mean, this would really quickly create a set here, actually. Let's say you wanted to do a character jumping up onto a box, right? Well, even faster than animating with tempo, you could actually do this like entirely with the grease pencil tool, couldn't you, right? So start the ball here. Let's kind of animate it on twos. Really squishing. Shooting out here. Now I'm animating this this completely evenly timed, but I'm using spacing to get the effect that I want here. Oops. Try again. And we don't normally like to get the point of contact in there, but I'm just gonna fudge this frame. It's not great contact. The spacing could be worked out a little bit better on this, but you're gonna have to forgive me. Oops, that looked yucky. We're gonna have it settle just a little bit. Okay, so now we have like, oops. There we go. We don't want to see the ghosting. Now we just have like this really super quick kind of pencil test in Maya that can help us a lot with the timing. So I kind of wanted to just show you this and point out, when I was animating with tempo, the cool thing about it is that it gives you something that you can use in 3D. Excuse me. This you can't really use in 3D. You still have to pose. Like if I have a sphere, if I create a sphere, where is it? There it is. Come on now. Okay, if I create a sphere, this is a little bit cheating because it is, a flat composition. You can't see what I'm talking about. It's a flat composition, and what I'm basically getting from this is only sort of like the 2D final, flattened image, right? So So this is not really as good as animating with tempo, because when I animate with tempo, if I used a sphere, for instance, to stand in for my character's body, then as I'm animating it and as I'm swirling around and getting, all the angles and kind of that rough positioning totally right, I'm actually working out a little bit of the 3D positioning of the character, and I can snap that character to that position as I'm posing him. And I'm posing him from my thumbnails, which I should mention probably should be well drawn. They should be as well drawn as you can possibly make them. So there the pencil skills come back into play. But what I would say is, to kind of answer the question outright, you don't necessarily have to do a pencil test. And although I've seen people who do pencil tests for every single shot they do, what I would say is that the attitude behind animating with tempo, which is accessing those timing choices and really having like a bullseye, a target that you want to hit with the impact and the engagement of your timing choices early on. That's the attitude that should drive you. And however you can get to that, grasp it and hold on. Just like, because it's like a tiger that's running. If you can hold on to that tail, you will be in great shape. Whether it's by doing like a little bit of kind of like a pencil test like this with just rough shapes. Now this doesn't look very good. What can we do with this? This doesn't look very good at all. Okay, maybe I can fix this, make this a little bit more interesting. Let's squish this together a little bit. And let's space this apart at the top a little bit. Just a little bit more of a plateau. So we're messing with the timing here. The Z axis is getting a little bit messed up by that. I might have to redraw this middle frame. Yeah, let me just redraw this one. Let me see my in-betweens here. Okay. It looks good. Oops, what happened? What happened now? Oh, I didn't add one. I'm sorry. Here we go. Redraw my middle frame. Okay. This can be squished for just a little longer. Just one frame. Okay, so let's watch this. It's already a little bit more interesting. Is it groundbreaking animation? Have I solved the problem? No, I have not. But it is a little bit more interesting. And here we go. That took me all of 45 seconds to make a couple different decisions. If I were really working on this, I would be experimenting on this for another 5-10 minutes. Redrawing frames here and there and whatever. Now, is this also the only kind of pencil test that the question was asking about? No, of course not. But if you think about it, really, the impact of the motion, the pure, just raw motion, has a lot more to do with things like the overall shape, like the large shape in composition, right? Not the finer details. So this really super fuzzy grease pencil, almost like an airbrush. It's not a grease pencil at all. I mean, a grease pencil, it kind of looks like a marker. In Maya, this like default grease pencil is so soft and fuzzy. But is that a problem? Really, I don't think so. It's really all about kind of a little bit less of the detail, the better. And if you can get at least a little bit of that energy out of your drawings, then you're doing well. And so in short, you don't actually have to really practice your pencil skills specifically to do this, to do what I just did. And if you are not practicing your pencil skills, but you're doing a lot of this every single day and with every single shot, then you'll get really good at this. So you might not be able to like draw a Disney character, but your workflow will start getting really awesome, like super, super fast. Because you're doing these kind of like gross shapes, these outlines and these major shapes and the major motion and really like the engaging part of the shape and the timing together on screen. I hope that makes sense. Because practice makes perfect, and if you're practicing this, you'll get really good at this, and this is a great thing to add to your workflow. Don't you agree? It doesn't, but although I would say that it doesn't give you all of the information that animating with tempo does. Animating with tempo has the sort of drawback that once you start getting to really complex shapes, you are only dealing with timing, because a sphere standing in for a very complex character is sort of a little bit of a lackluster stand-in. I think you'd agree. So maybe the grease pencil tool is actually a better thing to use in those instances. All right. Anyway, this is a very thought-provoking question. I'm really glad you asked it. I want to think a little bit more about this and maybe integrate this into a Animating with Tempo Part 2 lecture at some point. But this is a really great question. Thank you, Wojtek, for sending it in. Everyone else, you can send your questions in. You can even send your Maya files to webmaster@kennywowie.com. I'm looking forward to seeing more. I hope this was helpful. I had a lot of fun. Good luck with your animation. And as always, rock on.